Nicholas DeRoj asks, why do you consider ARI bad as a whole? He's seen my comments on Jordan Peterson at Ocon, and he understands the firebrand critique, which I think is that they're not firebrands. So they're kind of boring and dull, and they don't stand out enough, and objectivism should stand out. It's spectacular. People should notice. And they're presenting something amazing in a boring way, so that's a major critique. But okay, is there more to it? Yes, there's a lot more to it. So it wouldn't fit in a tweet very well. So I thought about podcasting, but then I thought that it would be a lot easier to show you some things visually. So I opened 20 or so links to prepare for this, and now I'm going to look through them. So the first one, this is my video that he's already seen. I just wanted other people to be able to find it, so it's on YouTube. Here's the title if you want to search for it. All right, next up, my open letter to Charles too, because it has a bunch of links about ARI stuff in it. So you can see here criticism of Alex Epstein. Alex Epstein used to work for ARI. He's the type of talent that they cannot retain. He left to do his own think tank thing. They're still friendly with him, but right, this is a guy who's like too good for ARI. Like they couldn't keep him. ARI was too boring or restrictive or whatever for him to do work in the field of like objectivism, philosophy, energy, etc. So he moved on. And then there's these major things wrong with him. And I've worked with him, so I know him. FYI. The basic problem is that he's seeking popularity. So if you want to know Alex Epstein flaws, links here. Also explanation. Peikoff flaws. So Peikoff, leader of ARI, well, maybe not anymore, sort of. In the background, kind of in control, I think. Anyway, so you can just see from the fucking titles, Leonard Peikoff says he's not a philosopher. Peikoff getting Parmenides wrong. Peikoff says children are property. Peikoff betrays Israel. Those are the kind of blog posts I've got that you can read. And then we have Harry Binswanger refuses to think. Binswanger, another ARI guy on the board or something, I think. Very friendly with ARI. They like host him and do things with him. He runs an objectivist forum where basically you have to like ARI style objectivism or you're not welcome there. And there's a lot of things wrong with him. So it's not just not a firebrand, it's he gets lots of issues wrong, he's a bad intellectual, he censors debate in search of actually money. It's hard to tell how much it's an excuse, but so he kicked me off his forum because some of his audience didn't like my arguments and criticisms and debate, and he wanted to keep getting paid by them. He didn't want to lose members, so he just got rid of me so he'll make more money. That's what he told me. So on the one hand, maybe he's just pandering to people and he doesn't care about the truth and truth seeking and, you know, actually debating the issues as much as he cares about making the forum appeal to a larger number of people so that they'll pay him. Most of them just never say anything and pay him $15 a month or whatever, and he makes, what, there's like 500 people maybe? $15 a month is close to it's 180 a year, 500 people. So you got like 90,000, is that right? All right, there's a common advice, like never do math on stream, never do math during a broadcast. I'm just gonna use Google. There might be more like 1,000 people or more, I'm not sure. I forget. I think it's like at least this much. So yeah, he has an income of like 90 grand just from a forum, if not significantly more than that. And he wants to protect it more than he wants it to be a intellectual forum where you can have interesting debates and get at the truth of the matter. I mean, that's one possibility. The other possibility is he thought that would be a great excuse to hide the even worse fact that he himself doesn't want the debates. So, either he didn't want to debate things like Karl Popper himself, or he personally wants to, except he has to pander to make money. I don't even know which is worse. Also, if it was really the pandering thing, he would have just went and talked with me somewhere else, not on his forum, on some other forum. He would want to go argue and debate it and figure out what the truth is. And he didn't do that. So I think he's personally just not interested in ideas. Anyway, plenty more details. If you click the link, go to curie.us/2119. You don't need the titles, only the ID numbers matter for getting to a post. So you can get here pretty easily. Or you can search like Open Letter to Charles II, Eliot Temple, you'll find it. Okay, next one. So there's some criticism of ARI in my recent open discussion thread on my blog. So I was going to show you this one. This shows how shitty they are, I think. So they're like, Black Friday has been publicized, or, the Tuesday after, Giving Tuesday. Oh my god, selfish commercialism. We're so objectivist, we hate altruism. So we're turning Giving Tuesday into Trading Tuesday, which consists of giving donations to ARI. It's so pathetic. And not only that, they do donation matches, which are basically fraud. But anyways, they say they're different, and then they do exactly the same thing as all the other organizations. They just beg for money, which is all their newsletter ever does. They're always just begging for money. And it's always like donations. They're not just selling you value, they're asking for donations. You're not like direct, it's the same as all the other charities. Like suppose you would prefer people didn't die of cancer, so you donate to a cancer charity. It's like you're getting some sort of value, like you're promoting your values in the world, right? So ARI is exactly the same as a cancer charity. They're not giving you a trade any more than the cancer charity does. It's just if you like objectivism, you can donate, and then hopefully they promote objectivism. I mean, they would if they were any good. It's what they're supposed to do. Anyways, in addition to that, they do donation matching, which is basically fraud. Basically, some big donor is like, hey, I'll donate 50 grand. And they're like, great, but hold on. Could you please make that donation conditional? We want to pretend that we'll only get it if a bunch of small people donate 50 grand so we can pressure and manipulate them. It is total manipulating second-handed people. It's just playing social games. It's exactly the kind of thing Howard Rourke hated. They're just trying to trick people into donating more. They're taking like passive people who aren't really sure about donating one way or the other and are bad at running their own lives and making decisions, and then trying to find a way to manipulate and control them and gain power over them like Gail Wynand. So that's what donation matches are. There's a good article about it. I've tried to bring this up with some of the people who do donation matches for anti-aging, and they would not listen at all because they undermine their credibility and rationality and stuff. Anyway, this is a good article. Why you shouldn't let donation matching affect your giving. It's just from some like random charity that like thought pretty rationally about this. So good article. If you don't understand what's wrong with donation matching, read this and you'll see some of the problems. I've written a little about it before, but I don't know where it is. Anyway, this is not the only ARI thing. Shortly after that, there was more. I think it's under a different name, maybe. Let's try searching for Ayn. A stocking stuffer for us equals a tax break for you. So they're trying to use their nonprofit status, their government privileges, as like a major selling point. I think it's gross. By the way, Alex Epstein, who is not nearly good enough, but left ARI anyways, his Center for Industrial Progress is not a tax-deductible charity. He thought that getting in bed with the government in that way was not worth it, and he decided not to do it. But ARI, totally doing it. By the way, you can see the quality of their stuff. Dear Zero. That is not my name. You don't need to put my name and pretend that it's like a personal email. It's not a personal email. Don't be so fake and pretend it's a personal email that's customized with people's names. Just don't do that. Leave that out. You don't need to do that. Anyway. I don't know if there's another one, so I'm just skimming really fast. I think that might have been it. That's right here. Okay. Next thing. They don't do a lot of content. Like, they just don't do a lot. So I think that FI actually puts out more work than ARI does, even though we don't have, funding or money, that kind of thing. And in support of that claim, I just wanted to point out that we have here 66,000 pages of content. Here's 18,000 pages of content. There are 3 more of these that are coming up. They're going to go back to around 2002 and maybe double the amount of content. So that is how much discussion my community does, and how much written content there is for people who want to learn things and read and are interested in ideas. And that's just email discussions. It doesn't count the 12,000 comments on my blog, which is, calling them blog comments is a little misleading because I put in a bunch of features to make it work well as a discussion forum. So yeah, my discussion forum online has 12,000 comments in addition to this stuff. I've written well over 30,000 emails myself personally. And ARI just doesn't have much content. They don't do much. So I think the comparison's notable. They're just not very active or energetic. I also have over 2,000 blog posts. We'll get to their blog later. Preview, hint, it has no posts for 6 months or something. So, yeah. Oh yeah, so I have this category on my blog called scholarship. Most of it is bad scholarship. I point out bad scholarship. There's several objectivists on this list. There's some Alex Epstein stuff. There's Ari Armstrong. But anyways, one of them is called ARI's False Statistics. So that's why I had it open. So they said your share of the national debt could buy 5,558 iPhones. And they used the price of the iPhone as $199.99. Which is just fucking not true. That's the subsidy price on contract when you sign up for a 2-year contract and you're paying extra on your phone bill for 2 years. The actual price of that phone was $649, meaning you could buy 1,712 iPhones with your share of the national debt. Which is a lot. You don't need to fucking fudge these numbers and cheat to make it sound like a big number. So they're just mathematically incompetent or scholarly incompetent or something. I don't know. It's really bad that they just publish this kind of bullshit. They're supposed to be the good philosophers who are good at things like truth and reason and rational thinking. So they should be getting stuff right. They should be we're better thinkers. We're higher quality philosophers. So that's why we get things right as opposed to all the other organizations that get stuff wrong. But they're not doing that because they're not better. They're just as bad as all the other organizations. I'm not saying they're worse than random other organizations. They're probably above average overall. But there's plenty that are better than them or about equal. They're just not that good. They don't stand out. And as the people, the representatives of objectivism, not standing out is a betrayal. You can't just be average and be yeah, we're the ones carrying the torch of objectivism. That's not a role for average people. If you're nothing like John Galt or Howard Roark or Ayn Rand, if you're just average, let someone else do it. There are better, more exceptional, more notable, more standout, outlier, non-average type of people in the world than the ones who work at ARI. Like me or Charles too. Or George Reisman. Or like the make objectivism great again people who are pro-Trump and anti like leftism and Democrats and stuff. Like they're more interesting and stand out and notable than ARI is. I don't know how good they are at like scholarship and like as philosophers, like they're more politically oriented. But at least they're like interesting. Whereas like here's the Ayn Rand Institute Twitter. They tweet a lot. That's quite a lot of tweets, but they're so boring and corporate and bland. Just like they're literally not even worth following. It's just like glancing at it, it all looks the same. Everything is just like reposting material with a picture. They're never talking to you, like it's so impersonal. That's one of the things you can, this is just 100% impersonal, and it looks like a lot of other Twitters. A lot of other organizations can do this. So it just blends in and blah, blah, blah. Here's their website. It's a fucking mess. Like, what do I click on? Where do I learn things? What do I do? I was started here. This one is a little less of a mess. Like, you got these things. But this stuff's a mess. Like, you hover, like, new ideal. There's no hover text to tell you what it is. It turns out new ideal is this exact same link as new online publication. Oh, this one says ARI journal if you hover it, but this one doesn't have hover text. And like, who do they try to appeal to? Students, educators. What if you're a philosopher? Where's the like, I'm a philosopher, here's the material for me part? Why don't they have that section? Or aren't they trying to appeal to like, interesting people, outliers, rebels, fighters for ideas, radicals for capitalism? Why don't they try to appeal to some of those groups? They're just like students, educators. They want to appeal to fucking like public school teachers. Like that's who they're sucking up to and pandering and targeting things at. Like these people who are not their kind of people. They do like essay contests. They get these kids who don't know about objectivism and don't care to write essays. They're not good essays. Like they're trying to fit into the existing culture and like integrate into the schools that indoctrinate people with terrible ideas and make people hate learning. And they want to integrate into that and be involved with school. Like school is the thing they want to attach themselves with a lot. It's like, if you make kids read Ayn Rand in school, they're just going to hate it like everything else at school. Like, it needs to be their own thing, their own, like, they have to come to objectivism with their own motor, not because their teacher told them to. So trying to sneak into the schools is such a bad approach. They have free online courses. They call them courses so they can alienate all the people who don't like school. Which is, you know, more or less all the good people, kind of not school fans in general. Because, like, the good people are smarter than their teachers and find school boring. So they would prefer, you know, free online philosophy, interesting stuff, ideas that stand out and aren't boring. Like, write that, and then more people will want to click on it. Free online courses is... The reason people want courses instead of, like, a blog is because they don't have a motor. The point of a course is it tells you what to do. You need, like, an authority guiding you along. That is what courses are. They're like guided learning for people without motors. That is the meaning of course. That's the general thing in our culture. Like if you look at the things that are called courses specifically, as opposed to just like, I wrote a bunch of essays, here's an essay collection, or, you know, here are my YouTube videos. You don't find like YouTubers calling their shit online courses unless they're starting to smell more like school and alienate the people that school alienates. So anyways, this is all kind of gross and boring, and there's a lot of other websites that look kind of similar. It's too cluttered. Like even this one, you have like 1, 2, 3 different top bars with different stuff on them, and then we have like the middle thing and then more stuff. Anyway, so you go to like ARI, and like what are these labels? Like there's the Ayn Rand part and then the ARI part and then the campus part. And anyways, New Ideal, didn't we have that one on the last one? Yeah, they're just like repeating stuff all over the place. We'll get to New Ideal soon. So this one's like extra cluttered. Like, what is all this stuff? There's still 3 top bars. Then there's this thing in the middle, and then there's all these. Oh, and then there's like another set of thumbnails. In case the first like 12 weren't enough, here's more thumbnails. And then here's a footer with like 5 columns. Like, there's so much stuff. And then they have like this much disclaimer. Do you need a disclaimer? Like, I don't even have a fucking disclaimer on my site. See, here's the bottom. You can just like go to different pages if you want to page through the blog posts in chronological order. That's it. There's like a disclaimer on the more page or something. Not a disclaimer. There's acknowledge. Oh yeah. See, I have a copyright here and acknowledgement, but this, I don't put it on like the normal pages you read. It's just on the like, here's extra crap page. Well, this stuff's not all crap. Some of it's useful links, but you know, it's out of the way. You don't need a boring ass copyright thing like on your main page that you're trying to get people to go to. That's so corporate and shitty. Our lawyer said that we'll have a 1% better chance in a court case that's never going to happen if we put this on our main page instead of on an about page. So instead of putting it on our terms or conditions or on our privacy policy that's already linked there, or on our FAQ or something, like get rid of this, get rid of terms and conditions, get rid of privacy policy, and then on the FAQ page or on an about page, then you link to the privacy policy and the terms and conditions and the copyright notice and whatever. Just put them a little out of the way. They're so just like fitting in, doing things the standard boring way, not taking any risks. Okay, so now here we have the... Oh. Here we have a stupid pop-up thing that got in the way. I don't remember this being here. Anyways, here's New Ideal. The organization is terrible. It doesn't say what it is. Like, I clicked it. I'm like, New Ideal. What's that? And I click it, and it's like, in-depth, topics, about. Okay, about. I didn't notice that before. There's so much stuff. About. Ayn Rand's goal as a novelist was to define and present. We explore cultural issues. Okay, but what is it? It doesn't tell me. Like, it's a online journal. It's a blog. I don't know. Anyway, so they're really bad at just like presenting basic info about what this confusing stuff on their website is, which is representative of like core problems that they're just terrible at promoting their ideas. There's problems with the ideas as well, but they're also just bad at promoting them. This is not like a well-designed site. Anyway, so here we've got thumbnails, and then we have a second group of thumbnails, and this thumbnail and this thumbnail are the same. Like, why do we need a repetition right there? See, this article and this article are the same article. Why are they both on the front page at the same time? Well, here's a hint about why. Now, see, this says November, and this says November. They apparently don't have enough content, so that might be part of why they're repeating stuff. They do seem to have 3 things from January, but they weren't good enough to be spotlighted. Only one of them was, so they've got November stuff here. And you can explore more of both Spotlight and Latest. Like, is that really the best way to do navigation? And then we have a whole About ARI with 3 paragraphs. It's composed of a dedicated board of directors and an energetic staff of more than 45 people. Okay, first of all, it's pathetic how little they do, that they have 45 fucking people. I did not know they had that many people. Jesus. And they do like nothing with it. And anyways, an energetic staff and a dedicated board of directors. That's so fucking corporate and bland and boring. Do they really think like this is going to get people excited about objectivism? This is what they wanted to put here? Why don't they put here like a criticism of some idea people have heard? Like, you've probably heard a lot of people say X. Like, a bunch of politicians recently said X. Here's why that's completely wrong and we have a different idea about it. Put something fucking interesting. Oh look, updates from New Ideal. Didn't they have that at the top as well? Sign up for email updates. Like, they're just repeating the same boring generic crap over and over. Anyway, so I also tried to find their... Oh, this is campus? Right, featured courses. No, like the layout, it's hard to find things again. They've got like the thumbnails. Like, look at this. It's so busy. And where do I just like see a list of courses? Oh, view all courses. All right, let's see what this looks like. Right, it's thumbnails And it's not all courses. Oh, it is all, but there's categories. Anyways, yeah, is this going to be a good way to find something? Just scrolling through this shit? I do not think that this is... Like, it's okay as, like, one way to view it, but if you could just give me, like, a text list where every course takes, like, one line, then I'd actually be able to, like, look through them better. And let me sort by, like, title and author and date. Like, this doesn't have sorting. It has categories, but there's no sorting. You can't view them in an order. Like, I can't view in order by author, so I could find all the ones by a particular author, or in order by date. This might be by date, I don't know. And in order by topic. Like, if you just had a fucking spreadsheet, it would be more usable. You just have a spreadsheet here. It has columns, course name, course length, instructor, like a topic, or a topic category or something. And then you just can, like, sort on the columns and date. Anyways, and you have to, like, enroll in them. Like, they make it, like, a thing. You can't just, like, click it and see the content. Like, they make it harder to, like, access. When you put stuff behind, like, enrollment barriers, it makes it harder to just, like, link people to, like, specific things within it. The whole thing is, like, awful how they design it. Like, a lot of these videos are on YouTube, but they're, like, private on YouTube, and then you're supposed to view them through the campus site. And if they just fucking put them on YouTube playlists, it'd be easier to share them and go through them and stuff. Anyway, and there's not that much. Like, if you think about 45 people and, like, how long they've had, how many decades they've been around, this is not very much content. Like, I guess they have more videos than me, but I'm a writer. Like, YouTube is, like, really secondary. And I'm one person, so not impressed. Anyways. Oh, look, new ideal again. You can get to it from everywhere. Okay, impact today. See, this is their blog, supposedly. So I found the blog thing. So August 17 was the last blog post. In addition to that, it's not really a blog. They call it a blog. Jesus, what a long word cloud. You don't need this big a word cloud when you have, like, no content anyways. They have this many authors, and they haven't had a post since August. Seriously, they have, like, 15 authors, and no one has posted for August, September, October, November, December, January, like 4.5 months or something? 4 months, 5 months, I don't know. And they all look really boring. There's almost no text. Like, none of them say anything. They're just, like, there's, like, this tiny blurb. In his lecture, blah, blah, blah. In this short video, we're excited to announce... Like, none of them actually have content in the preview. None of them, like, catch your interest if you actually care about ideas. None of them are like, here's our position on Syria. Or, here's our position on donation matching. And, like, here's a common idea, here's why it's wrong. Like, you could put something interesting, but they just put pictures, pictures, pictures. Like, do intellectuals just want to see a big picture more than text? Or do they want to, like, read, like, one paragraph worth of intellectual content and then be like, oh, that's an interesting idea, I'll click and read more. This is not aimed at smart people. It's pandering to people who don't like reading. But it's not going to catch their attention either. Like, the people who don't like reading, these pictures are not going to be like, ooh, that looks shiny and I'm going to click on that. You know, they're going to go on YouTube and find better shiny pictures and ignore this crap. So that's why this is not popular. Besides the fact that literally they just don't update for months, because they only have 45 employees, so that's not enough to run a blog, apparently. I don't know. Why haven't they tried to hire, like, me or Charles too, or someone who actually creates content on a regular basis? Someone with the energy to just, like, make regular philosophy content. Why don't they have that? Anyway, so... issues, they're, like, reusing Rand content from, like, decades ago, which is, like, okay, but oh, here's something from April 2017, January 2017, December 2016. Okay, so they had to repost a Rand thing because they're getting towards a year of not posting anything new themselves. I don't know why this is like separate from the blog. Like they split up their stuff in a bunch of different places, even though they don't have enough of it. See, now you go to foreign policy, and it's like a different feed, and they have something from December 2016, and then they had to repost Iran because they hadn't posted anything for multiple years. And then you go to like science and industrialization, and then this category. Look, they didn't post since 2014, except they did add one Ayn Rand thing on top because they had no content. They don't need multiple categories when they don't have enough stuff. Multiple categories are good if you have like, 5 posts per day. And then you're like, all right, that's a lot of content. Not everyone wants to read that much. We'll split it up. But when you have one post every 2 months, then just put it all in one place because you're short on content. It's simple. Okay, so it's terrible. Anyway, next. I clicked on experts. And I recognize this page. It's boring, by the way. It's boring. I don't know why it's black and white, but it's so corporate. So here's the Apple Board of Directors page, or executive profiles. See, I like Apple's more. Like, I like the color photos more. But anyways, it's the same thing. They're like Apple. They're like a giant corporation. Except also they put that like where people will find it. Like you just go to like their, you just click on like ARI, and you're on like the ARI page. And then just right here, they're like, here, look at our experts. Like, they actually want you to go to this page that's so boring. Like, Apple doesn't put this shit on their homepage. Or if they do, it's like some tiny out-of-the-way link. Like, Apple's not trying to get normal people to visit this page. They don't care. Like, they have it, but, See, here's their homepage. And they're just showing you their products they want you to buy. Okay, they have a bunch of stuff in the footer. Apple leadership. Okay, so they do link it at the bottom, but it's small and out of the way. It's not up here, It's not up in this header stuff. This is what they want people to see. Whereas here at ARI, you just go to the header and they're like experts. Click on experts. And then you get this, and it's boring. You don't learn anything. And these specialties are so boring. They're like, Yaron Brook has a specialty in objectivism. Aaron Smith has a specialty in philosophy. Like, is that interesting? Is that what you want people to read? Like, you have a little bit of attention from some audience person who comes here, and that's what you want to tell them? That's the best thing you could come up with to tell them? That's going to get their attention and convert them to objectivism and change the world? No, it's not. Why is that there? Come up with something, like, interesting. I know I'm a little repetitive, but it's because they have so much stuff and it's all so consistently terrible. Anyway, moving on. So I was looking for the Mayhew edit stuff, and I found this page, which I've only skimmed. But it says how they edited her journal entries. So I've only skimmed this one. But it has also Greg Salmieri stuff. If you go to the bottom here, you'll see how he voted for Hillary. Here it is. Yeah, he voted for Hillary, he voted for Kerry, he voted for Bush, but then he voted for Kerry, then Romney, then Hillary Clinton. It's one of the many examples of how these people just like have bad politics. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but he voted for Hillary Clinton. They fucking hate Trump, and they're so unreasonable, and they're like open borders too. Don't want to get into that a ton, but like they're wrong about politics, and there's no way to correct them or debate it or like point out how they're completely contradicting Ayn Rand's philosophy with their politics that has nothing to do with objectivism and makes no sense. And she was fucking right wing, And then they're just like sucking up to the left and voting for Hillary Clinton. What the fuck is wrong with them? I mean, I know what's wrong with them. They read the New York Times instead of Front Page Magazine, and they're just getting like mainstream media propaganda and then trying to fit into the mainstream media elite culture, blah, blah, blah. They want to get along with academia. They want to get along with the media. They want to be respectable and part of the cultural establishment. And part of the cultural establishment is shit like Hillary Clinton. So that's what's going on there. Which is, of course, extraordinarily anti what, John Galt stood for. John Galt did not fit into the government establishment. Even when they would take him, he was like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to work within your system. Anyway, the thing I was actually looking for is the rewriting of Ayn Rand's spoken answers. This is about, there's a book called Ayn Rand Answers. It was edited by Mayhew, and he edited a bunch of the answers. For some reason, this PDF called Rewriting Rand is offline. But if you take this URL right here and you put it into archive.org, you can get a copy. And this is a Google cache. If you just search for like Rewriting Rand, or what did I search for? I searched for Mayhew edits Ayn Rand Answers, and I found the rewriting of Ayn Rand spoken answers. And then you click this tiny little arrow here, and then you can click on cached, and you will get to this page where you can read about Mayhew editing the stuff. So they're not protecting Ayn Rand's legacy. There is active editorial tampering. So that's terrible. Like, they should just be publishing what she said. Don't change it. So you can also go to the Amazon reviews for this book, Ayn Rand Answers, The Best of Her Q&A by Robert Mayhew. These are the kind of people ARI works with and authorizes to go through the archives and shit. And you can read Inexcusable Editing. Read the excerpts below and judge this work for yourself. You can pause the video if you want to read this, or you can go to you can find it on Amazon, search for it. Yeah, read the excerpts if you want to read it, judge for yourself. I'll read you a couple in a second. I'm just going to scroll through. You can see all of it. And then here's some more. And then there's this next one. This is not Ayn Rand. Rewritten to sound more certain and clear. Answers are not included that would make her look bad. She was asked about marijuana, cyclamates, and tobacco. The answer omits tobacco. She actually coughed during the answer. They make her sound kinder and gentler. She called retarded people botched. They changed it to not properly formed. Right, that's just editing. Like, don't change what she said. So they're trying to, like, sanitize her and make her less offensive. Which is so terrible. Anyway, so examples. Oh, this is quite long. Okay, so Mayhew has Galt's culture is not a society, it's a private estate. It's owned by one man who carefully selected the people admitted. Okay, there's even that much. And then here we have, because Galt's culture is not a society, it's a private estate. This is what Rand actually said. It is owned by one man who selects those admitted so carefully. Like, he's just changing the words around. Who carefully selected, who selected so carefully, who are admitted so carefully. Like, it's just not the same words. Like, there's major content changes, and if you read it all carefully, you can find them. But there's just, the wording just keeps getting changed. Look at the second sentence. Project this, second paragraph. Project a society of millions. Where is that? That's the third paragraph in the original? But how do you project a society of a multi-million nation? Right, so somehow, like, 2 paragraphs of Ayn Rand wrote 2 paragraphs, or spoke, this is speaking, but 2 paragraphs, and it turns into 1 paragraph. Like, what the fuck? They just change it so much. In general, God help you. If you had a society which all shared one philosophy, that would be dreadful. They didn't need a government because of... Here we go. So they took out, like, the God help you thing. Optimistically, 1,000 people who represent the top genius of the world. Even then they would agree on fundamentals, but they would never be totally identical. Right, it's just all the wording has changed in this part. But there's major content changes too. But I don't want to read through all of this. But there's things that seriously change the meaning if you read through all this material, and the rewriting Ayn Rand, like 71 page. I've read this thing. Well, a lot of that is like cites and stuff, an appendix. So more like 60 pages, but yeah. So that's awful. Anyway, Front Page Magazine is an example of a more energetic site that stands out more. They do political articles, and they're notable, they're interesting, they're energetic. You can see that they're different. They have things to say. They publish content on a daily basis. David Horowitz, the leader, he wrote a book, Take No Prisoners, The Battle Plan for Defeating the Left. You may notice that that title sounds like something Ayn Rand might approve of and like. It's a battle plan. We're not taking prisoners. We're going to fucking win, and we're right, and so on. That's good. You know, they're fighters for ideas, as Ayn Rand put it. Whereas ARI is not fighters for ideas. Oh, yeah, here was the PDF that I downloaded. But I already showed you the Google cache, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, another thing is they exiled George Reisman. Oh, so this is just ARI Watch's homepage. So this is a website called ARI Watch. So I'm not endorsing like everything they say or these people in them as people or in general or something, but they have quite a lot of information about ARI people and flaws with ARI people. You can find significant criticism of a bunch of different ARI people here, and I've read some of it, and I think some of it is correct and has good points. Apparently ARI Watch doesn't like Israel. I don't know. I'm pro-Israel, so that would be a point of disagreement, I think. Because ARI claims to be pro-Israel, at least this is our ally. Right, we are all Israelis now. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that these are, I think the ARI Watch people are a bit libertarian, and libertarians are often kind of anti-Israel. So there's something bad there. Anyways, I won't get into it in detail, but they have a lot of information about ARI problems. Some of the immigration stuff would be some things I agree with. The open border stuff, you can find like how much these people just want to let a bunch of third worlders into the US and have our culture be changed and have them win all the elections because there's too many new millions of voters, and destroy the world. And for a really good book on that, if you want to understand like today's US politics, this is the book you should read. It's called Adios America. It was informative to Trump's speech about how Trump originally got attention was he read this book and he gave a speech about they're sending some bad people over. They're sending over some rapists and some criminals, and we need to do something about this illegal immigration problem. Anyway, the book also has quite a few complaints about legal immigration. It's important to note that illegal immigration is not the whole problem. But yeah, if you want to understand today's US politics, you don't turn to ARI, you turn to Ann Coulter and you read Adios America. And then you go to Front Page Magazine and you read a bunch of their articles. Anyway, there's a particular thing at ARI Watch, and you can also get some information here. So this guy, unfortunately, had a stroke last year, I believe, and now his website is dead. So I had to go to archive.org to find this. But he has some objectivism-related info, and he's Swedish, I think it is, and he translates some of Ayn Rand's books into, Sweden. So he has translated some of Ayn Rand's work and some of George Reisman's work into Swedish in order to promote objectivism. And what happened is Leonard Peikoff threatened him with a lawsuit and made him stop translating objectivist stuff into Swedish. So you can read about that, which is fucked up. And yeah, Leonard Peikoff takes legal action. Answers to Leonard Peikoff and his attorneys. So this guy is trying to like spread objectivism to Sweden, and Peikoff puts a stop to it. So that's one of the problems with ARI. Like, not only do they do a terrible job of spreading this stuff, but they also suppress other people spreading it. Anyway, but the main reason I was here is the George Reisman stuff. George Reisman. And you can read a bunch of info about ARI exiling George Reisman. So George Reisman is the best living economist. He studied under Mises, and he also met Ayn Rand and studied with her some. So, like, it's a dual student of Rand and Mises. Like, what more could you ask for? This is such a great person. And he has a website, capitalism.net, and he wrote this book called Capitalism, a Treatise on Economics, and it is quite possibly better than Human Action. I really like it. It's a really good book. And he also has, right here, it says 19, but I think there's more. I think that's out of date. Anyway, you go to you just search him on Amazon, George Reisman, and he has a bunch of $1 Kindle books that are better than the shit ARI puts out. They're very economics focused and about like capitalism and socialism mostly. But he also has trashed environmentalism, and he's very good at that. There's a particularly good one about that called The Toxicity of Environmentalism. A lot of these things you can find for free, but the Kindle versions are $1. It's just a token price. But like this one I know is online somewhere. See, here it is, and here it is on the Mises site, if the page will load. Yeah. Anyway, this is a particularly good article. I read it recently. And he also has a major section about environmentalism in his book, Capitalism, a Treatise on Economics. So it's really, really good stuff. And they hate him, they excommunicate him. He used to be on the board of directors of ARI, so was his wife. And they kicked him off for stupid fucking petty reasons. And then, so there's a bunch of articles and info about it here. There's like letters people wrote at the time. And so he ran like conferences. The Jefferson School was the name. And when ARI like excommunicated him, exiled him, he wasn't able to run conferences anymore. Like they got rid of his source of people to attend his conferences and learn from him. And that was a few years before Capitalism came out. And so ARI wouldn't promote capitalism, and far, far, far fewer people ever saw the book that is one of the best books ever written. Like, since like Rand and Mises died, it's the best book of that type written, like pretty clearly, I think. And ARI won't promote it. And it's written by a fucking objectivist. And it has, like, I read it and my impression is it reads like 80% like it's Mises, but 20% like it's Rand. Like, he took Mises, but then he added in some Rand. That was sort of my impression of the book. Because it's an economics book, but it has objectivist philosophy in there, integrated in, like, really well where it fits in. So it's wonderful. It's such a good book. And ARI will not promote it. And you cannot mention it on the Harry Binswanger letter forum. Binswanger, you cannot mention Mises.org, and you cannot mention George Reisman. On the other hand, Binswanger not only lets other people mention, but he himself mentioned New York Times, Huffington Post, Nate Silver, and various other, like, much, much, much worse things. Mises.org has some actual flaws, like anti-Israel stuff. But they're so much better than, like, the New York Times. They do a lot of actual good work mixed in with the errors. Whereas, like, Huffington Post, Nate Silver, those are just pure evil, and Binswanger is just fooled by them. And it's like that with ARI people in general. Like, they hate Reisman, but they're okay with all kinds of mainstream evil leftism. Anyway, you can read through the letters. I have. And, yeah. The basic thing that happened is ARI was going to pay a bunch of money to send Binswanger and Schwartz across the country to teach a course to some objectivists. And Reisman was like, hey, there's already some objectivists living on that side of the country who could teach the course without being flown over, and we could pay them a lot less and they'd be willing to do it. So we'd save a ton of money. And they know their stuff, they're good people, they would be able to do a good enough job. Like they're high enough level above the students that it would be fine. Like, you don't need the best person in the world to teach a class. You just need a teacher who knows a lot more than the students do. So that is what he got kicked out over. It was so petty and stupid. And Peikoff and Binswanger or whatever claim Reisman has moral flaws that they would not actually state. So they they pronounce like a secret judgment, like he's bad for some reasons we won't tell you, trust us. That was basically the thing that happened, so it's fucking ridiculous. This is like 20 years ago, by the way. Or more even. But you can see for yourself. These people are terrible. Oh, my name is here because I mentioned somewhere in public, I think on my blog, or in my blog comments, that they won't let you mention Reisman at the Binswinger forum. So they added that. So we got through all the links. And then I've got these bullet point notes. So, right, where's the moral judgment? These people, I'm gonna grab a document. I'm gonna pause. Okay, here we go. This is the virtue of selfishness, and I'm just gonna search for pronounce moral judgment. Here we go. How does one lead a rational life in an irrational society, by Ayn Rand? The principle is, one must never fail to pronounce moral judgment. Great fucking article. Does ARI do that? No, they don't pronounce moral judgment on stuff. They try to get along with academia and the other think tanks and like the so-called intellectuals and so on. Boring, bland corporate, they don't stand out. Like, you wouldn't look at them and be like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. They just don't look that way at all. Even though objectivism is like the most amazing thing in the world. And they don't represent that at all. They don't show it. And it's because they're not amazing. They don't live up to objectivism. Ayn Rand was so much better than they are. So yeah, trying to fit in, friendly with Democrats. Try to be respectable. They try to make inroads into academia. Like they try to get along with people in academia and get respect, so the academics will take them seriously. Like they're trying to pander and suck up to people so people will treat them better. They value philosophy PhDs a lot. Like Ayn Rand didn't have a PhD. You don't need a fucking philosophy PhD. That's just an indoctrination camp. Peikoff has talked about how like getting his PhD was hell. Like hell. Like it was so awful. It was torture. They're just indoctrinating you with this awful, awful stuff, and he's trying to like put up with it and somehow muddle through the courses. Like, how did that help him? People shouldn't do that. Don't do it. Just study objectivism instead. And where are their accomplishments? They've just done so little in the last 20 years. Like, they don't make a lot of content, and where's the standout content? Where's the great work? It just doesn't exist. And they have like 45 people. They have so much money, and they don't do anything good with it. They don't have a discussion forum. They don't challenge the world. They don't stand up and say, hey, we have the best ideas. Our ideas are really important. We think we're right. We'll prove it. We'll debate anyone. We figured out how to like organize debates and organize intellectual truth seeking, and we're going to address like every challenge and show the world we're right. You know, they haven't done anything like that. That's me. I'm the one who came up with Paths Forward and have a policy for how I will address challenges and so on. And they don't do that. They don't take questions. Like I can't just ask them a question and get an answer. If I want to learn about Ayn Rand, or if I have a disagreement, if I have a criticism, they're just not intellectually involved. They don't really do outreach in a useful way, like where they don't let people engage with them. Like part of why YouTube is popular and podcasts and stuff is you get all these people who you can actually ask them a question, you can talk to them, and you can like interact with them. And ARI is so like distant and impersonal. It's like trying to contact Google or something, you know, like a giant corporation. Well, Google in particular, like it's not only a giant corporation, but they have all these products like Gmail where there's like no customer support. Like they want to save money, so they don't even have a bunch of people in a call center for you to talk to. If you're an advertiser, they have people in a call center so you can talk to someone and get a problem solved. But as a user, if you have a problem with like Google search or Google email or Google Docs or whatever, you know, there's support forums. Ask the public and hope someone helps you. Anyway, ARI has that kind of feel to it where you can't talk with them. You can't get your questions answered. You can't say, hey, I think I have a serious criticism of objectivism. How do you answer this? And they haven't addressed Popper. They haven't addressed Saws or promoted him or agreed with him. Like they haven't gone either way. Like they haven't taken all the interesting people and like said things about them. Like why don't they go through like who are some of the most interesting people? Not necessarily the best or like the ones who are right the most, just like take a bunch of outliers and have like interesting commentary and responses and what objectivism says about it, and they could say like, here are the notable intellectuals in the world in our opinion, and here's what we think of them, and here's why, and they could write about that, and they could just make content and do something and say something, have something to say, but they don't. They're just boring and they have nothing to say. They don't own randquotes.com or learnobjectivism.com. I thought that was a bit notable. I know that because I own them, and I bought them like 2 years ago or 1 year or something. By the way, if I had a staff of 45 people, not only would I own randquotes.com, but it would actually have quotes on it. I have gathered like a couple hundred quotes, but I have to go through them and it's not up yet. I have to organize them better, and most of the quotes are only from a few books. I have to like reread other books, and basically I'm going to reread stuff at my own pace, and then when I reread stuff enough, I'll eventually gather enough quotes and put it up. If I had funding though, I would have paid someone to do it, you know? I still might pay for some help. I do that sometimes. Anyway, they just don't do a lot of things. Like, I do a lot of projects. Like, I'm not just objectivism. Like, I don't have funding. I'm mostly by myself. And I'm not only doing this, but I made like freeliberalism.com, which is objectivism related, but it's different. It's not done yet, but it has what I think is a very, very good essay about liberalism. I think this is important and interesting, and has a significant amount of objectivist perspective in it. So, you know, I'm doing this, and that's why Rand Quotes isn't up. But they don't own Rand Quotes. They don't care. They don't do much. They just don't have a lot of like projects going on. Learn Objectivism is where I have close readings of Atlas Shrugged chapters 1 through 3. And very close. Like, these are very long. And they not only don't do stuff like that, but they don't engage with mine either. Like, they don't care. They won't be involved. It doesn't mean anything to them. They apparently don't own AynRand.com. I checked that. I don't know what it is, but see, they're at AynRand.org. But if I go, wait, I thought I checked this earlier. Okay, never mind. I take that one back. I tried to go to it earlier and I swear it didn't work. Maybe it's not used very much because it's not their main site and it was like slow or something. I don't know. All right, well, never mind that one. Right, they won't promote Riesman. There's a lack of innovation. Okay, so in addition to a lack of innovation, they're also not very pure or true to Rand. So like they do the combination of, they're not just like very carefully sticking to exactly what Rand said, but they also don't innovate. Like they just change it in non-innovative ways. So that's terrible. Like the Mayhew edits. Like the point of the Mayhew edits is not innovation, it is sanitizing. So it's not pure and it's not innovative, it's just sanitized and more boring. So that is not at all, that's not complete. Like there are more things wrong with ARI. And I didn't even go into details on a lot of stuff. Like I showed you like links to Alex Epstein problems and Peikoff problems, but I didn't click these and go through them with you. So there's a lot more stuff wrong with ARI, but this gives you some sort of overview and preview of some of it. So yeah, there's a lot of it is the Firebrand critique. They're not Firebrands, they're boring. But they have a lot of issues wrong. They're leftists. And they're not intellectuals in the real sense of like wanting to debate and talk about ideas. They just don't do much. There's no way to talk to them. There's no way to correct them. They don't answer questions. They don't deal with criticism. They're not engaged in the discussion. They don't participate in much in the way that a lot of like so-called amateurs do, where you can actually talk to them and engage with them. They don't have a discussion forum. They don't, none of their people are very accessible to the public and like trying to engage with the audience. Like they do some stuff, like Yaron Brook does a talk show or whatever, but he's so bad that I won't even listen to it, so I forgot about it. One other thing. So this is one of my favorite Rand quotes. And she talks about nobody builds sanctuaries for the best of the human species. They build sanctuaries for mallard ducks. They conserve redwood forests. They're not paying attention to the people with inexplicable personal alchemy, the rebels against conformity to the gutter, the independent minds dedicated to the supremacy of truth. So these people are being crushed by the irrational culture, and no one's building sanctuaries for them. The people like Mallory from Fountainhead, who was so sad and alone, and Rourke gave him some support. Right, so doing the kind of help that Rourke gave to Mallory, no one does that. And you know who doesn't do that? ARI. ARI does not have programs designed to be this. So I try to do this. I have a forum where people can come and interact with smart people and get questions answered. And I try to help people who are interested in things and have a motor and want to know things and are curious. And ARI doesn't do that, so fuck them.